Hey guys, and thank you for joining me today for May's Google Hangout. Today's Google Hangout is going to be about training intensity, and it's come about because of some frustrations you guys have been receiving or feeling when not really getting the results that you want when you're checking in with me every week. You're hitting your macros, you're doing your training, you feel like everything's on track, you're getting enough sleep, you're getting enough water and all that stuff, your stress levels are down, but you're still not quite getting the results that you want. Now, I'm going to put this down to training intensity, and what I want to go through today with you is really what that means. Some people might not really understand what training intensity means. It can mean different things to different people, so really just grasping that and understanding that. I also want to make sure that you know that you've got your training intensity right. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then just break down a little bit of your training programs to go through what reps, sets, tempo, rest, what all that stuff means, because that play a role in the level of intensity that you're bringing to your workout. I feel like going through that with you and just getting a better understanding of that will hopefully see your results go the way that you want to. If you've got your level of training intensity up there, and I'll talk about a scale of 1 to 10. If you're training at an 8, 9, or a 10, and your intensity is up there, and you're hitting your macros, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be getting the results you want with fat loss, with your weight coming down, with your measurements coming down, with your strength increasing. So you should be able to post any questions throughout the Hangouts. There's a Q&A box on my left-hand side. Hopefully that's on the same for you. Otherwise, if it's not working, just pop a message into the forum, and I should be able to see that, and I'll answer it as I go along. So training intensity, what does it actually mean? And there's a couple of things that you can break it down for. The first one is, when you look at the weights room, it's about the load that you're carrying, or the load that you're putting onto the bar. And then when you talk about intensity everywhere else, you're talking about the level of effort. So what effort are you putting into your sessions? So when we're talking about the weights room, we're talking about load, you want to make sure that you're increasing your weights each week. This is called progressive overload. So each week you need to add a little bit more weight to the bar. That's what's going to change and adapt, or make your body adapt and change. Your effort, are you giving 100% to your training session, or are you going in half-assed, head somewhere else? You had a stressful day, not really into it, you're just there to be seen, float around, after an hour you leave. What sort of effort are you bringing to your training session? Are you increasing your weights each week? It basically means, how hard are you working? Are you giving it a 40% effort, or are you giving it 100% effort? You shouldn't leave the gym feeling like you can give more. You want to give everything that you can to that training session. You don't want to leave anything in the tank. Your training sessions, for most of you, are anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour long. That's just your working sets. Any mobility or stretching that you do before that you need to do is outside of that. So it could take you an hour and a half to do a session if you're spending 20 minutes to half an hour on your mobility, which is great. That's going to help you move more. It's going to make you feel a bit better, get you into a better position. So keep doing that. But in terms of your how long it should take you to complete your session, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. If it's taking you longer than that, not including any warm-ups or stretching or mobility that you're doing, you're taking too long in between your sets. And that's something I'm going to talk about, what reps, sets, time under tension, and your rest period means. You can't be fucking around in between your sets, looking on Instagram, scrolling through Facebook. You should be head focused on that exercise that you're doing for that amount of reps, and only resting for the amount of time that's in your program. That's really important. The metabolic stress in your body will only happen if you've got that time under tension of the muscle, and you've only got that rest period that's allocated to you in your program. Any longer than that, and you're not going to get the metabolic stress on the body, which means fat burning, muscle gain. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually said anything less than 100% was a waste of time. And I sort of agree with that. You want to give 100% to your session. My 100% will be different to your 100%, but it's got to be true. It's got to be true to you. You can't just turn up to the gym and expect that's the work done. You actually need to put in the effort. You need to put in the work. You need to lift the weights. You need to get onto the bar. You've got to finish those reps and those sets. Like I said earlier, you don't want to leave the gym feeling like you could have done more. So that's what training intensity means. It's load and it's effort. How much effort are you putting into your session? How to make sure that you've got your training intensity right. You can use a scale, a 1 to 10 scale, and it's rate of perceived exertion, an RPE. 1 being really low on that scale, and 10 being, you know, your 100% effort. For the training that you guys are doing, hypertrophy training, you want to be working in around 70 to 90%. So if we're talking real casual walk is about a 2 out of 10, you know, your heart rate's up, you're still able to hold a conversation, and your 10 out of 10 is struggling to catch your breath, you got a bit purple, you need about 2 minutes to recover. So you want to be working around 70 to 90% of your 100% effort. How to make sure that you've got it right? You need to record your weights. You need to record your weights every time you train in your training program. You guys have all got your programs via Google Docs. It's very simple to update using your laptop or your phone. If you can't update them there and then while you're in the gym, make a note of them in your notes and go back and update your weights into your program. That also then allows me to see that your weights are increasing. Or if I see that there's a trend or there's something that you can't increase on, say for example your squat, I've seen that you're squatting 40 kilos and you have done for the last couple of weeks, then I can look at why. Are you just feeling really tired, you're not feeling comfortable with that lift, or are you feeling like you've hit a wall and you actually just can't increase anymore? So make sure you record your weights in your program. I can then look over that as well. It's the only way you'll know what you lifted the previous week to be able to increase that weight this week. And it's super important that you do increase your weights. It's called progressive overload, and that's what changes your body. Your body gets used to lifting the same weight. So therefore it doesn't need to recruit any more muscle or build any more muscle to be able to lift that volume. If you're continually squatting 40 kilos every week, your body gets used to that. So it doesn't need to go and grow more muscle or recruit more muscle fibers to the muscles that are working. It'll just continue to use what it's used to using. So therefore you won't change. You need to add a little bit more. Talking about progressive overload, obviously increasing your weights on lower body is a lot easier than increasing your weights on upper body, and that's purely because you can lift more lower body than you can upper body. So in terms of upper body, if you're unable to increase your weights, for example, on a shoulder press or a lat raise, you're at 3 or 4 kilos and that's really heavy, without swinging through it or ruining your form, you just can't increase your weight. Slow your tempo down. So time under tension, the longer that muscle is under load, again, the more it's going to adapt and change the metabolic stress on the muscle. So that's training intensity. What does it mean? Load and effort. How to make sure that you've got your training intensity. Use that scale of 1 to 10. You want to be working around 70 to 90%, so a 7 or an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And check in with yourself during your sessions. Are you at that level, or you feel like, oh, I'm at a 3, I'm just cruising? And how to make sure that you're also getting the most out of your sessions is be planned and prepared. On your training program, feel free to make any notes or any adjustments to it. So I've given you day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. You can write day 1, Monday, day 2, Tuesday, day 3, Thursday. And know that on that day of the week, you're going to, if you're training in the evening, look at your program in the morning. Oh, I've got squats, or I've got deadlifts today. What weight did I do last week? I did 40 kilos. Okay, so that felt pretty good last week. I put an asterisk or a star next to it saying, yeah, I need to increase my weights. That felt good. Or maybe you put an arrow down from it saying, fuck, that was actually really hard this week. Make a note. I didn't get enough sleep, or I actually can't increase my weights on that anymore. Be prepared for your session. So know what session's coming, know what weights you've got, know what you want to increase by. And then when you're getting to the gym, get mentally prepared and focused for that session. Turn off everything else that's going on in your life. Turn off the stressful day that you've had and just purely focus on what you've got coming. It's really difficult to get 100% out of the session if your mind is elsewhere. It's very hard to then tell your mind to turn on muscle groups if you're not thinking about that. If you're thinking about, oh shit, all that work that I've got to go back to work and do, or oh shit, I've got all this other stuff that I need to be doing, or I'm just not feeling it today, I'm feeling tired. You need to get your head in the game and be prepared for the session that you've got coming to get the most out of it. If, for example, in your program you've got, this is one of the questions, if you've got a circuit or your supersetting exercises, so A1 and A2, get your weights ready. If you're going from a squat to a shoulder press, get your dumbbells out ready. Make sure you can get as much of it ready as you can so that when you come off one exercise, you're not hanging around for 5 minutes before you get to the next one. That will then bring me on to reps, sets, tempo, time under tension. Everything that's in your program is there for a reason. So don't ignore anything. If you're not sure about something, just ask me in your check-in or post a comment in the forum. Your reps and your sets are there for hypertrophy. To hypertrophy the muscle is to make the muscle grow. The more muscle you have, the more calories you can burn, the more fat you can strip. The more muscle you have, the more weight you can lift, which means the more volume you can do, which means more fat burn, which is also why I include some strength into your programming. So like a 3x5 or a 5x5. The stronger that you can get in those big compound lifts means you can actually lift more when it comes to your circuits or when it comes to your later sets when we're doing hypertrophy. So don't miss any sets and don't cut short your reps. They are there for a reason. The one thing that you're probably not sure about is tempo. When I write my tempo, say for example, it's a 3.1.0.1 and we're talking about a back squat. I'm talking about the eccentric version first, the eccentric part of the lift, which means the lowering. So for your squat, you're talking about 3 seconds to take you from the start position down to the bottom. So sorry, let's go 3, 0, 1, 0. So it's 3 seconds to get to the bottom. No pausing at the bottom. You're driving straight out of the hole up. Pause at the top for 1 and straight back down again. So that should take you 5 seconds to complete 1 rep. If you are taking less than that, you don't have enough time under tension under the muscle. If you're pumping out your 12 reps in 40 seconds, but you've actually got a 4 or 5 second tempo on that lift, it's not long enough. That goes the same for your rest periods. Your rest period will be anywhere from 30 to a minute, 30 seconds to a minute rest. Any longer than that, it's too long. It's too long a gap between your working set and your rest period for you to really get the effects of the metabolic stress on the body, which is what is going to change it. And then time under tension is the total amount of time that for is under load. So for your tempo, for a 3, 0, 1, 0, that's 4 seconds time under tension for that, for your lower body to be under that lift. Rep, sets, tempo, rest periods. So we just talked about all those. The best way to track that is get a clock on your phone. You can just use the timer on your clock on an iPhone, or you can use an app. I've got an app called Gymboss. It's a really good app to show, you can actually set interval timers on there. You can literally name them, set one up and name them. So it's called Gymboss. You can see it there, looks like that. And you can actually go in and set your intervals and set your timers on there and just name them. So you've got, Tabata, run, walk, run. You can change them, make your own timers on there. Super important that you've got a clock. If your gym doesn't have a clock that you can easily look at, get a timer on your phone and stick to it. What else? Questions? If you are supersetting an exercise and you have to hang around for the machine or equipment, what do you do? Very common in most commercial gyms that you will have to wait for equipment. I know for Aggie, she got really frustrated with having to move around her gym, like maybe program, and things wouldn't be close together. They'd be spread out, or she'd have to wait around for equipment. So for her program on this month, I've actually programmed around what she's got access to in a smaller space. So I can do that. That's an option. And then alternatively, don't be afraid to talk to anybody in the gym. If you're having to do back squats and hamstring curls and you come off your back squat and there's somebody on the hamstring curl, just wait for them to finish their set and ask them if you can jump in and share the machine with them. Nobody should have an issue with that, and if they do, then they're a dickhead. Nobody should say no to jumping in if they've finished their sets. Obviously, don't go into them mid-set saying, "Hey, can I jump in?" Wait for them to finish their set and just ask politely if you can jump in and use the equipment with them. Alternatively, if your gym is packed and you just can't go from one exercise to another, let me know, or just think about what muscle it is you're working, and if you have got an idea, you can just alternate something else in there. So if it's a hamstring curl, there's a cue for the machine. Maybe you see a Swiss ball, you can do some hamstring curls on a Swiss ball, or maybe do something like a back extension. If the squat rack's full, grab some kettlebells or some dumbbells and just do some goblet squats. There'll be a lot of things that you can do. Obviously, just let me know if that's what you've had to do. You've had to change your program slightly, or drop me a message. Obviously, not while you're in the gym. Drop me a message after, or whenever you can, and I'll see if I can get back to you about what sort of other exercises you could switch in. But just think about the muscle group that you're working and find an alternative for that, I think. Let me see, any other questions? Sarah, how do I listen to this? Okay, so let me just recap everything there, make sure I've covered everything. So training intensity, what does it mean? Basically, how hard you are working. So use that scale of 1 to 10 of rate of perceived exertion, 10 being 100% effort, 1 being 10%, and you want to be around 70 to 90%. Don't leave the gym feeling like you could have done more. Give everything that you can to that session there. Clear your mind and focus on what you've got ahead. Be planned and be prepared. Know what session you're doing, what weights you're doing, and get excited for it. You know, if you've got a lift where you're like, I'm feeling really good today, I really want to hit a PB on that, get excited for it. Meditation and mindfulness as well is also a good one. Visualization, seeing yourself, how does the lift feel, approaching the bar, feeling and visualizing lifting that weight up will actually help you get under the bar and really feel that weight and get a PB on that lift. So get excited for it. You need to do the work. Turning up to the gym is not enough. You need to put in the effort, lift the weights, do the reps, do the sets. You've got to put in the work. Being at the gym is not enough. Your macros are calculated off how your activity levels as well. So if you're not doing the training, but you're hitting your macros, it's not enough. You still need to be doing the training along with the macros to get the results. Record your weights in your programs. Super important. If you don't record them in your program, at least make a note of them somewhere in your phone so that you can go back later and update it, or so that you can see the weights that you did lift in your last session. That's really important for progressive overload. And fill me in your check-in. I really want to know how your week has gone with everything. It's not a weigh-in. It's not this is my weight, these are my measurements, here's my photos, I feel shit. It's this is my weight, this is my measurements, here's my photos, this is how my week has gone. I felt stronger, or I'm tired, I've not got enough, I hadn't had enough sleep, I've had days where I didn't hit my macros, I've gone out, I've been drinking alcohol. I need to know all of these things. It's that time of the month. I felt really strong in all my sessions, or I felt really tired. I hit a wall in the afternoon. I need to know all these things. That's what's going to help me decide what changes I need to make to your program. Just telling me this is your weight and these are your measurements I don't know what your week's like. I don't know what you've done. I need to know more information. So tell me about your training. Aggie's been really good at sending me her videos. She just videos herself doing her training sessions, and it's awesome. I love to see that. That way I can really see your training intensity. I can, one, check your form, make sure you're doing the exercises properly, and then two, I can actually see how hard you're working there as well. And again, I want to see your PB. So if you're doing something, please video it and send it to me. I really want to see that. What else? Get ready, plan, do your mobility, do your warm-ups, and then get all your weights ready. Know exactly what exercise you're going to back to back to back. Keep on time with your rest periods. Don't take longer than what's in your program. Stick to your reps and your sets. They're there for a reason. Where you can't increase your weight, slow your tempo down. Feel your muscles burning. And that's another one. Think about the muscle that you're using. That's what's going to send the signals from your brain to your muscle to fire and to engage. So if you don't know what muscle you're working, you're just going through the movement, your body's got no idea what it's doing. I think that's about it for me. Let me see if there's any other questions. Let me make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. Sarah's still having trouble getting on. Sarah, it will be recorded, so I'll post the link into the group so you can listen back to it. Okay, so I think I've covered everything that I wanted to get across. I really hope this makes sense to you guys and that you now go into your training knowing and understanding a little bit more about what is expected from you and what you need to do. And hopefully this will then show in your results in the coming weeks. Pick up that training intensity, do the work, get focused, and your results will come. Check-ins normally every Friday. Please keep them coming. Send me your videos. And then if we've missed anything, if you've got any more questions on this, just pop them into the Facebook forum. Have a good weekend. Ciao.